Hey, I'm Dukes on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Yo, hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a very cool donation deck list. This is what I would call Golgari mid-range. It could be green-black depths, as it does have dark depths and Vampire Hexmage, but a big shout out to Francis sending through the list and also having a bit of discussion about the list itself. The only change that I have made to the list that was sent through was we did get rid of the one copy of Legolas's Quick Reflexes for a second copy of Depths, just to make sure that we're making the most of having 3 Hexmage in the list. We obviously have Stage. We do have ways to recur Dark Depths in Barrowgoyf, Witherbloom Command, Life in the Loam. We can obviously crop rotate for it and Reclaimer for it. So there was with just the one copy in the list, but I think although Hexmage does have other modes, resetting a Saga, putting a Chalice to 1, trading 1-for-1 with Planeswalkers such as Tamiyo, I do like that we do have 2 copies. So I'm pretty keen to see how that goes along with the mana base we have. Being pretty consistent, we have a lot of sources of green-black, which is nice. We do have a small crop rotation package, actually a pretty big one, in Bojuka Bog, Karakas, obviously Wasteland, Talon gates, and then obviously the combo as well. So pretty keen to see how crop rotation goes. In terms of value, I think that Bojuka Bog right now is quite well positioned. Having access to that as early as turn 1 is obviously fantastic. We do also have the full 4 Endurance and full 4 Barrowgoyfs in the list, so a fair bit in terms of just that mid-range plan, which is quite cool. Thoughtseize for combo decks, Bowmasters as well for the blue decks. Library I really like in a version with the 4 Bowmasters because they're just a really efficient way to deal with Bowmasters, which obviously turn off the library to some extent, but we do have Barrowgoyf to keep that life gain going while we hopefully get some extra cards from Sylvan Library. We have the Loam as well to be able to get back some of those lands we want, such as Dark Depths and Stage. And then Fatal Push and Witherbloom Command to allow us to interact with a lot of legacies threats right now. The one we are probably soft to is Murktide. That is a card that's going to be quite hard to deal with once it does hit the battlefield. We do have some small edge cases where you could block with an Endurance and then Hexmage away the counters on it, so it's just a 3/3 flyer. But in saying that, I think we just want to be a little bit faster than Murktide and also just make sure we are dealing with their graveyard as soon as possible in the most efficient way. We do have cards like Shoot the Sheriff in the board, which are quite good at operating on that sort of axis of having extra removal for Murktide. We have an extra copy of Fatal Push and Dismembers, Opposition Agent for any of the sort of mirror matches. I think lands, I think Doomsday, I think green-black depths, Maverick style decks, Carpet and Veil obviously quite strong against the blue decks. Ouphe and Vigor are just so strong as well against the artifact decks, so having 2 copies of each makes a lot of sense. Mindbreak Trap is just a nice catch-all for fast combo, especially on the draw. Things like Ritual into Ouphe's creature and then hopefully be able to tag the Dread Return would be quite nice. But there's also just some other combo decks that obviously Trap is pretty solid against. Overall, yeah, pretty keen to see how this deck goes. I haven't played too much green-black sort of mid-range without a full focus on Dark Depths. I find Dark Depths is just a really solid strategy in terms of being able to win games pretty quickly while also having a lot of interaction in cards like Thoughtseize or Duress or Inquisition. And then, of course, crop rotation for Bojuka Bog or Karakas goes a long way. So, yeah, a big thank you to Francis for sending through the list. I will have an article about some of the back and forth we had and just sort of my take on the deck after the league. In saying so, it's only 5 games. So I think it's more of a case of just potentially focusing on one thing, and that's probably the mana early on. I know that Francis was moving the deck towards just a more consistent mana base. and that did include only 1 depths in the mana base. So I think if we can, yeah, just keep an eye on how mana flows with the second depths in the list, we should hopefully have a pretty strong league and see how this goes. So let's play a Legacy League with Green Black Depths, or what I'm calling it, Black or Golgari Midrange. I think Reclaimer's pretty strong right now, especially against the Delver decks. If you can get it out of bolt range early on, we don't have the luxury of Mox Diamond to speed up that process, but we do have a lot of plays in the early games that can allow us to buy that time to get Reclaimers up to 3/4s. Right. Sadly, I would say this hand is just a little bit too slow. We are already a deck that wants to get to the mid game, and we don't have too much play here be able to do that. Like, I think if this was a fetch land, arguable to be keepable, but I think also with the mana sort of mana constraints of both Witherbloom and Hexmage, it's just a little bit too tough. Okay. Pretty happy to keep this. We have the library to recover from Mulligan. We have access to both basics as well, which is really nice. Pretty happy to keep this. We're probably just getting rid of an endurance. I think, you know, at worst we have turn 1 Reclaimer, turn 2 library, and then pitch Reclaimer 2 endurance if we are up against a fast deck. Veteran Explorer, very interesting. Well, that might actually mean we don't want to go for our basics, and so we just want to go for a Bayou here. Play that Reclaimer. I haven't played against Nickfit in a long time. But obviously, these type of decks play Cabal Therapy and then match that with Veteran Explorer. This is also another great way to be able to interesting. Another great way to sacrifice Veteran Explorer. So they're doing it now, which is, so if we block, then they do get the lands, we get the lands, but then they also don't get the extra mana off of this potentially. So I think here I am happy just to block, because if they really want the mana this turn anyway, they can just sacrifice it to the quarry. It's also like, you know, not having a creature in play for, say, Cabal Therapy is quite nice. So I think the Explorer in play for them just has a lot more utility than it does in the graveyard. We might also just want Forest here. That would allow the Endurance, the Reclaimer, of course. Oh, wow, I should have read the whole card. Sacrifice the desert. Exile target creature card. Mana value X. Interesting. Is this worth pitching? They have 5 cards in hand. They will be losing the quarry as well, so honestly, I'm pretty happy to not allow them to have the 4/4. And then next time we get to play the library and hold up Reclaimer as well. Barrowgoyf's pretty sweet draw. But I think here it's just going to be Swamp, play library, hold up Reclaim. Hey Marius, I'm glad you are on the same wavelength as I. It does just seem a little bit too good in terms of value. The old road, okay. So thankfully here, by holding up the Reclaimer, we do have access to Karakas. Don't think it really matters. We're just going to get rid of our forest here. Get that Karakas. Upkeep. Return this. 19 life. Another library. So this is actually a really nice advantage of running more than one library, is that you do get to, once you have one down, just make sure you're not running into the next. What are we doing this time? We are most likely playing the Barrowgoyf and then most likely just playing the Verdant to be able to go and get a Veil land. We're definitely putting this back. The Loam's interesting. There is a world where we could also try to go for a Wasteland lock over time. I don't mind paying for this. It also means next turn if they play something like land Pernicious Deed and just destroy our board, we've already gained some sort of advantage off the library. So I think I'm happy to keep this. Happy to play this. And then happy to play the Barrowgoyf. And attack in. And seeing that this will make it a 3-4, we can just get the Mortuary now. Have a look. Another Reclaim is actually pretty good, so I'm going to put that on top. I do like that Reclaimer is also removal in terms of Talon gates. Hey Lornan, thank you very much. Hope you're well. Hope you have some nice time set for the holidays yourself. Nothing. Okay. Pretty great draw. I don't want to go too low, so I think we will go, like, just in case they have removal for the Barrowgoyf, and we can't rely on that for the life game. We'll go put on top A4 for this. I could Thoughtseize first, but just in case, I guess if they have removal, we can also Talon gates ourselves. I don't want to play the Wasteland first either. I'm going to start with the Thoughtseize. Endurance is going to be fun. Okay. So this is a 6-mana spell, a 6-mana spell. Obviously, Emrakul right now is nowhere near. Let's just read this. Destroy all creatures. Use a card name, search target player's graveyard hand and library from 4 cards with that name, exile them. Exile the saga and then return to the battlefield transformed under your control. I don't know if we can see the other side. I think we're just going to take the Elder, being that we can Wasteland this turn. Eventually get the Loam into the bin. Take them off 2 mana. Yeah. Let's go Wasteland. Take them off the Peatland for now, I think is best. Actually, take them off this because we don't want them to be able to get that. We have a free attack here with the Barrowgoyf. 3-4 into 3-4, but obviously we have Death Touch Lifelink. Interesting. And let's get back the Wasteland. Will that kill the Goyf? It will. Okay. Could use the Reclaimer first. Just takes us off the Karakas, but I think that's fine. Let's get rid of the forest. And let's just go for another Wasteland. No, let's go for stage. We have that in play at least. Now we can loan back just the Wasteland. Yeah, always interesting to see Nick Fit. We haven't really seen it do like the most powerful starts, and I think Nick Fit really needs to have those powerful starts. Drawing a card there is pretty tough for them. They know they're going to lose the Wasteland anyway, so yeah, they're just going to go into a concession. The opposition agent is obviously pretty great. The Veil's interesting. Like, I assume they run like removal. I assume they run Cabal therapy. There's not a great way for us to interact with Veteran Explorer. Don't think we're going to be removing it anytime soon. I don't mind the Dismembers, knowing that they hit Sheoldred, they hit... Ooh, Elder might actually be bigger than a Elder... I think it's a 6. It is a 6. Okay. Definitely shoot. Force of Vigor is pretty interesting, but again, I do like that we have Thoughtseize. We do have Boseiju if we really needed. Actually pretty tough, like potentially some number of endurance. They do use their library, their graveyard a little bit, but not enough for me to still hold the 4 endurance. Ah, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. I am thinking of Nethergoyf. So, a lot of thought for no real need. Still think Crop is pretty good. Could just be the one library. Although library is quite strong in this matchup if we come down to boards where there's not really much going on. I think honestly our Bowmasters is probably where it's at. It does deal with Veteran Explorer, but not really in the way that you want it to. Okay, pretty happy with this hand. Pretty sweet mana. Wasteland's kind of funny here. Just because it could potentially stop them from, say, Cabal therapy, but I think I would rather start with Thoughtseize just to know what's up. Offer Bayou as well. And hopefully it's not like a land. Okay, so there is Cabal therapy, there is Disruptive Flute. I think I'd rather just take the therapy so they can't see the Goyfs and then take both. Obviously that's kind of annoying because it puts it in the yard, but I think that's hopefully okay. Kind of get one shot if they want to use it. They don't. Interesting. Probably happy to go after their mana. in keep. They are still going to flute. Thespian stick. Okay. Play the Boseiju. Interesting. It obviously has a lot of application and flexibility. I wonder if they have a 4-drop they want to play this turn without playing the Quarry. Sing. Gotta get back out. We will have to still get rid of one, so I think we just put a Verdant Catacomb. Okay. Don't know our hand other than lands. We'll search. At those forests. Green Sun Zenith, okay. Well, it is a miss, which is nice for us. What is this going to be? Yawgmoth? Aska. I've never seen this Vraska in Legacy, so good on my opponent. That is very cool to see. We aren't gonna Loam here. Activate only as a sorcery is quite nice for us. I think we potentially here just want to play Wasteland to get rid of the Nurturing Peatland, then hold up the Endurance. Because the Vraska ticking down on Barrowgoyf is kind of lame. Target creature becomes a treasure artifact with sacrifices artifact, add 1 mana, and loses all other card types and abilities. Very true, they can slow down Dark Depths. That would be brutal. The Peatland. Green Suns for 3. Okay. Maybe Insurance to get rid of the... Oh, Grist. Okay, cool. Oh, there's a Cabal Therapy there. Wow, that's huge because we can't do anything for it. Yikes. I think we still play this. Tough. We'll get rid of their yard as well. very cool interaction with Grist in this deck is obviously that you get to get the token and also Okay, so at least here we have Talon Gates hold up and also just get the Surveil land. Not the worst either. I think here we want to go after the... Probably the Vraska. No more hand, but they don't know about the bone. Oh. We will fetch and respond. Mortuary. Put that on top. I'm going to kill the agent. Try to. Trophy. No, because then they get... Oh. Okay, so here we get to Talon Gates out. Agent. Build that token. Then swing 5 at go. I would just chill. We have all our basics. But at least they can't take anything with the with their agent. I also meant to click no. But it shouldn't matter because we have 2 forests, 2 swamps here. Unfortunately as well, I believe Pernicious Deed does not hit Planeswalker. That's not a good out. Jeez. Sounds for 6. They have something bigger. Ooh, nice. I think we can call it here. We have 13 minutes to try to get there post board. I don't mind the extra 3/4 body of endurance. I think we could still go down on Bowmasters a little bit. I don't mind the extra dismembers. Thoughtseize still seems fine, especially on the play. I could see a crop coming down. Witherbloom doesn't seem great. Maybe just the one copy. Okay. Come on, Surveil. Turn 2 removal, potentially turn 3 Goyf. The tough thing is that we have good mana, whereas you can kind of keep a, not sketchy hand, but you can definitely rely a little bit on your opponent's explorers to some extent. As I say that, I also just think that's incorrect. You should not try to rely on your veteran explorers of your opponents doing well, because if you miss one land drop, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to sack that explorer for you. I think a library off this Catacombs would be pretty sweet. Still, there's the untap. I don't want to show a basic just. And seeing they got a snow-covered forest, I'm happy for them to have this. There is the thought by playing the swamp, you can potentially take 2 less life with the Dismember. Lair. Wow, okay. Right, I guess we're searching. Probably just get the swamp, the forest this time, seeing we have the Yav. Stage is pretty cool. I will play the stage. Then we'll play a Barrowgoyf. Feel a little bit naked with it here. Six men. Okay. Yeah, we do still have a forest we can get, which is nice. That means we can use the stage this turn. So close to the Talon gate's been live as well. Okay, that's a good sign for us. They're digging just a little bit. If it's a creature, we want to kill it with the shoot. If it's a legendary creature, we obviously want to try to give it as well. I don't think I need to dismember just yet. I think here I'm happier. Copy the Underground Mortuary. This means as well, if they have a Disruptor Flute, they have to name Mortuary and not Stage if they want to turn off this copy. This is a sorcery. Okay, so if we actually put instant in the yard, this grows the Barrowgoyf, which is kind of cool. Let's play Swamp. Okay. I don't want to go Dismember, Hold Up, Shoot the Sheriff, and also Talon Gates. I don't think I want to double Barrowgoyf just yet. Just in case of a sweeper like a Deed. I think I'd rather hold up interaction with Talon Gates. Good for us. Mana. Scar. Okay, this is still fine. Because if she tries to tick down, have the Talon Gates. Good. Cool. Okay. Start with attacking the Vraska. Huge. Huge to get it off. I think now I'm in a spot where I'm probably pretty happy to play the second Barrowgoyf. It's tricky though, because we do have the Endurance hold up. Endurance hold up is also interesting. I think let's just go all out. Not try to be too cute. Oh. Spell. Apologies. Okay. Cool Magic. I kind of feel like I'm playing pre-modern. Gives me that kind of like rock vibe. A rock mirror. Alright, 5 mana. Generosant. Nice. I think here we actually don't care about this because it's not 6 power. So we're pretty happy just to save the Shoot the Sheriff for now. Play the Boseiju. Interesting, when they could have kept it for potentially the Karakas, so maybe they have something else for that. Doesn't really change anything. Unless they have an Endurance. See this. Not really beat an Endurance. But that is the reason to play the Boseiju. But I think here we just have to yeah, if they're faking Endurance every turn, we can't really much about that. Okay. Wow, no creatures? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Wasteland, Dismember, Fatal Push, Nurturing Peatland. Oh, it's just going to be gained a life. Okay. I thought potentially they were allowing the trade and then going to Endurance to make sure that one Barrowgoyf dies. Also, don't want to throw this Endurance in just yet. Obviously, don't want to hit either graveyard, really. Loot's going to be okay. Nice. Agent's fine. There's no reason to remove anything here. They do this. Ah, interesting. Okay. Well, now they kind of is. Is it an outlaw? No, it's not. Wait, why can't I? Use target. Assassins, mercenaries, pirates. Oh, it is. Oh no. Game 1. That is pretty funny. That is going to be... We will just float him out. We will not search because we don't want them to have anything. That is quite... Ooh, let's go Bowmaster. Then let's go Agent. And then I think he would just pass. I don't think I need to play anything else. There's a thought on the Hexmage, but... We have a lot of flash creatures. We have access to 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 mana, which is enough for Endurance, Bowmasters, and Agent. They have 1 card left. Nice. Very cool. Eerie. Eerie for sure. Hey Mapson, I actually just finished your episode of Eternal Witnesses with the judge. I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy the podcast. I think it's got a great vibe to it. But I'm doing well. I'm playing a list from a supporter who is playing in paper, a pretty cool sort of green-black mid-range style deck. Obviously taking advantage of one of the most busted creatures ever printed. But yeah, it has like a small depths package, which is cool. Just trying to figure out the nuts and bolts. I believe they're European. And yeah, always cool to like see what people are playing. Obviously there's a tier list, but sometimes you can just find like a little nest of magic that you love. And it seems like this player loves green black, so I am all for it. Why wasn't I searching? It's because with the agent in play, they get the land, just in case they needed a mana for something. But yeah, the reason not to search there is because the agent takes my search and they get the card anyway, so I'd rather leave the card that I have in the deck to potentially draw if I need it. There's a world where like you allow them to search because we definitely don't need the mana, and I don't think the mana is something that they really need. So yeah, I could have definitely searched there because it's probably a dead draw anyway if there's, say, a Bayou left in the deck. Yeah, Barrowgoyf is huge. It always feels tough playing Abzan Maverick because I feel like being a Green Suns deck, you want to run a high number of green creatures because just one copy means you have virtually 5 copies. But cards like Barrowgoyf are just so strong that it's very hard to, you know, get up to playing 3 or 4 Knight of the Reliquary without playing the first copy of Barrowgoyf. So there is a good mix. I feel like Maverick's actually got a lot of tools recently that are quite fun to play around with. Scythecat Cub, the Baloth that makes things uncounterable and you can take, you know, go through Ring. I found that really good. Hub is very good as well. It's becoming, yeah, a bit of a tough one in terms of trying to figure out which cards are actually the best fit for Mav. I think Scythecat Cub's quite good because it can potentially help you a fair amount in getting your creatures out of bolt range or just Orcish Bowmaster range. If this is going to be D&T, I really want to have a removal heavy hand. I don't think relying on depths is the way to go, especially with just Reclaimer, so pretty happy to mulligan this. Okay. I mean, double Thoughtseize isn't the worst, especially if it's like Stoneforge kind of hand. I think I just want to bottom the swamp. Be a little bit greedy. Obviously against a mana denial deck, you do want to try to keep probably at least 3 lands in your opener for this sort of matchup, but being on the draw, oh, okay. Well, maybe this is like a Beans style deck. You know, thankfully we do have a removal piece for that in our hand. Let's start off with another Tameo. We have a Riddler, Swords to Plowshares. I think here, the Tameo hasn't flipped just yet. I think it is just the Riddler because of the amount of value they get off this. And it is a pretty proactive thing to do next turn. How about these guys? Karakas, Dark Depths is pretty much offline. If we don't draw a lane next turn, it's probably just Thoughtseize, hold up. Thoughtseize is the Plowshares. And then hold up Underground Mortuary. Okay. Doesn't do a whole lot just yet. I guess we could also Thoughtseize and Reclaimer. Ooh, an Uro. Again, don't really care with this endurance in hand, so I think we just take the swords. Okay. Tameo, Uro, Boseiju. Tameo, Uro, Boseiju, and one more. Either way. I think it was a fetch land. Thank you. Flooded Strand. Okay. Boseiju, so Blood, Tamio, and interesting, they play this instead of the Flooded Strand. I guess the Flooded Strand nearly gets them on board. But a land off the top here is pretty key for us to stay in this game. Ooh, okay. Just in case of like land into just hardcast Force of Will, I think we are just gonna play the Endurance right now. Rid of the Uro. Attack in. Make them have to have a removal spell for the Endurance. We still know they have Tamio. Cradle is very good. I feel like Cradle is... Cradle's the version of Maverick if you want to play some sort of creature-based combo deck, but still have access to like Gadocteeg or Collector Ouphe or Keen-Eyed Curator. Whereas Depths is pretty similar, but you also have like that lands aspect. But I do think that in experienced hands, Cradle is very strong right now. And having that sort of turn 4 win condition is pretty nice. You don't also need the natural order package either. Newton's been doing quite well with some decks without natural order, which is pretty cool. I don't want to play the Hexmage either here without a target. We'll just target. Don't have a great way to deal with Leyline. Pretty strong. That's pretty hard to put back. I feel like here we did need to just trade 1-for-1 with that Tamio that's in play. Doesn't feel great with the Tamio in play already, but I don't think we have too much of an option if we do want to try to win through combat damage. Also, Vigor will be pretty strong in this matchup. To be fair as well, that's a great reason to hold the Endurance back, is just to stop them being able to draw. But I think the attack with the Endurance there is just incorrect. Like, obviously it means they don't get the Bowmasters back, but... Don't have extra green, which is nice. They can flip the Tamio. Okay, that can stall some time. And hold up Karakas. Tricky. I don't mind this from a time perspective. Yorion is, of course, a 3-tone clock. So an answer to the Barrowgoyf and then Yorion is quite strong, especially with Karakas open as well. We need to find an answer to Karakas in Wasteland, and then an answer to Yorion, which I don't know if we actually... I guess we have our own Karakas. Okay. That's actually a clean answer to Yorion as well, in a way. Nice. Right. One small thing as well. Let's say our opponent has one card in hand and we want to Karakas the Yorion. Definitely do what you want to do first. Make sure that you're not Karakasing the Yorion into hand to give them something to pitch to, like a Solitude or a Force of Will. Ooh. think my mouse just failed. Alright, another turn. Potentially. Oral Mastery, very cool. We are definitely seeing some cards this league. Very cool to see that kind of card. I think it's fair to say we can take out a Depths in this matchup. Nice thing. All right, that'll be 10 in the air. We will see if this goes down to time. Obviously, our opponent could just pass at second, turn, and then just that's all they do, attack. But they are casting some other spells. Okay. What do I like? I don't mind the Veil. I don't mind Horses. Carpet's interesting. I think the two pushes can most likely come out. Probably a Hexmage and a Dark Depths. Hexmage is not the worst answer for Tamiyo, but obviously not the strongest either. Shoot the Sheriff. Especially if they're playing Riddler. The Surgical's interesting because of Burrow. Witherbloom does deal with Tamiyo, which is nice, and also Beanstalk. Could see like a crop coming out. Deed's pretty interesting. Like maybe Deed is better than Surgical. Deed taking out Tamiyo. Obviously, Beanstalk. I could see this is pretty good. Maybe like Echoing Deeps. I don't mind this. I think this is pretty solid. Push does answer like Tamiyo, but we just have a few other ways to deal with it. Like Thoughtseize into Library would be pretty sweet. Against sort of a control deck. Especially if I can take like Prismatic Ending, Thoughtseize Ending, untap, play Library, untap, be able to draw cards. This Thoughtseize does have mana, has some control over what they can play, has 4 mana for Force as well, so like I honestly could see myself keeping this. It doesn't have a threat, but I do like that it has some strong cards. The days we can play around. Fairy's kind of annoying. Riddler's obviously very strong. We do have the Sheriff, but at the same time, is that really where we want to be? I could see take the Fairy, land, play shoot the Sheriff on the Quantum Riddler around days, but even then they're still drawing 2, so I think I'd rather just take. It's just tricky because if we draw into a threat, we know it's getting bounced with the Fairy. I think it is just that. And it is only draw 1 card. Apologies. 2 off the Riddler. There's our threat. I would be interested to see if they daze shoot the Sheriff. Oh, they don't. Ah, this is the Isle. Okay. Yeah, honestly, if they want to daze back the Vale, that's fine. But if they want to lose that, yes. Still want to play the Talon Gates. And hopefully either land next turn or potentially a 1 or 2 mana threat. Okay. Not nothing. I could see the force negation on this potentially. The days. Okay. Not too much we could do here. You can obviously Wasteland us out. Okay. Well, we can get a threat into play. Definitely one of the better draws against a Wasteland. Okay, here's Yurion. We can get the Underground Mortuary off this. We'll go for Bayou and turn off the Upper Beanstalk. Good enough yet. Like, sadly, there's not too much we can do here. A little bit behind in both games in terms of value. Yeah, drawing like both Force of Vigors against a start that isn't on the Beanstalk can really hurt. But obviously, being a non-Brainstorm Honda deck, that can definitely happen. So sadly, just gotta live with it. Yeah, really tough. I found it a really tough matchup to find like those value areas because they have a lot of 2-for-1s, a lot of really good removal in Swords to Plowshares, Prismatic Ending, Leyline Binding, etc. That it can be hard to stick a threat. So creature decks typically are going to have a really challenging time against a sort of value control deck. Yeah, not sure where the like weak spot is. Mana potentially, but even if you try to keep them off green and then they find 2 mana in Loam, then kind of all goes to squat. But hey, we can bounce back. All right, Scissorman Meat Pie. Okay, on the draw, a lot of 1-mana spells, bit of interaction. Pretty happy to keep this. Another land would be nice, but okay. Womp. Thoughtseize off the Marsh Flat. Puts me right towards it being like Pox. It could be like a Golgari Pox deck. It could be like a slower Reanimator deck. They take the Crop. That could be the answer, as the Reclaimers have to survive a whole nother turn, be able to turn on Bojuka Bog. Okay. Mid-range plan. Pretty happy still to go for Bayou. It could also be like hold up crop in case they want to like reanimate our own Barrowgoyf, but I don't think that's where I really want to be. I want to build to the board. Play what I know. Interesting. Like it could be like an opposition agent deck, but I think I'm okay here. Just holding up the Bowmasters potentially. Drone Barrowgoyf. Okay. I'm trying to think of a way to double Bog with Echoing Deeps to remove both graveyards and then Bowmaster the Barrowgoyf, but that's so far away. But I think here we just need to turn the Wasteland to a Nurturing Underground Mortuary and look for removal. I mean, that kind of is. We get to just try to go for Dark Depths. Like they have double Wasteland tapped. We're not going to get a better time to go for it. I don't appreciate this token. Sorry. But I feel like Marit Lage should be like Marit Lage, not like... Okay, well there you go. Sometimes Dark Depths just gets there, which is quite nice to see. They did untap as well, so they obviously do potentially have an out. And I assume that's something like Sheoldred's Edict. Quite fortunate there. Fatal Push, shoot the Sheriff, Veil, dismembers. I think they're all strong. Not the biggest fan of our own Thoughtseize. I'd rather just allow them play to the board. I'd probably crop. I think something like this is more than fine. Maybe crop against a Wasteland deck. Actually quite strong. Still like the Hexmages. I think we can probably take out one. Sorry. Still like the libraries as a way to, when we both are on par with next to no resources, a library can really get you out of that situation. I think something like this is okay. Probably a little bit too slow here. Okay. Probably actually happy to bottom the Barrowgoyf. Either between the Barrowgoyf and the Hexmage. I mean, Hexmage is kind of there in terms of crop rotating for a win condition, but I think we're just a little bit far off the Barrowgoyf in terms of mana. I did not expect that. That is not what I expected. I think we're just going to go with play the Reclaimer. I could try to hold up crop rotation in case of Wasteland, but I don't think we're like in a great position there. Okay. Here I get to Wasteland the Wasteland. And probably Fatal Push the Voice. A little bit too good. Okay. Feels like a Wasteland line as well. Not. Okay. Now, no land. Interesting. In that case, I'm pretty happy to try to loam back both of these. We don't want to loam. We do want to draw a 2-drop. Oh, kind of. Do we just want to run that out? If we run out Hexmage into Depths, we also turn on Sorcery Speed. We're definitely playing around Wasteland. I think I'd rather just try to Wasteland them for one more turn. And we could play out the Hexmage, knowing that we have crop rotation for stage. Let's hold up crop. Like, we're not taking that much damage. I think I'd rather just hold up the Hexmage as an unknown. Hey, Jeje. Ooh. In this case, I think we do want to crop the stage. And then next turn, probably just turn the stage into a basic. Second Dark Depths isn't. I'm just going to go for Forest, and then just play around Wasteland. Make this a swamp right now. Just so they can't hold up Wasteland the whole time. We weren't really doing anything else with them. At least it is a slow clock. For now. Loot's pretty good. I guess the name's Swamp. Please name Swamp of Home. I have a feeling they're going to name stage. I could be wrong. I have that kind of feeling. I feel like they might even be looking it up. I get the feeling they're looking up what is this and what am I supposed to name here? Oh, they chose Life No Loam. Interesting. Okay. They obviously have some sort of answer to Dark Depths, but I don't mind making them have it because it's going to be an answer to all my threats anyway, most likely. And I'm just going to go Sorcery Speed to play around Wasteland. Very cool card. I play this a little bit on Arena. Interesting to allow me to have mana. Maybe they're scared of another Dark Depths. Or want the 3 mana. Still pretty happy to play this. Put them down to 20. Just naturally rip Hexmage. That would be sweet. Oh no, but close. Guess we do our own Barrowgoyf. Not play. Cards first. Knowing this as well, I think if there is a third game, Pernicious Deed out of the board would be quite good. I can fly over. We need to attack, I believe, to gain some life. Sheltered by Ghosts and the Flutes probably mean I want a Deed as well, or potentially the Thoughtseize is back. As we did get the read wrong. It's definitely not Pox. Oh, it keeps flying? It's pretty absurd. Another Barrowgoyf's pretty. That's pretty interesting. Get rid of the flute here. We have 17 minutes. This is kind of fun, at least. Back first. Maybe I should have. No, the flute's there, so it doesn't actually matter if we Witherbloom first. This. Okay. Then. Tough part is I don't see a way out of this outside of at least dealing with the Barrowgoyf, and then they still have flyers. Very tricky. these bad boys. We still have the... block. One, two, three. What am I? Rid of Talon Gates. Wing Deeps. I think we're still dead. Okay. I like the deed. I think I like the Thoughtseizes. I think the endurances can most likely come out. Even just like one. Yeah, probably all out. Probably just go down to one depth. Knowing how much removal they have for it. Yeah, deed would be quite nice. Okay, pretty happy with this. Like turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Library. And also go for basics early on just to make sure our mana is consistent. I could see a world where like we just get stuck under 1 mana. Probably not. Maybe a little bit too safe, but I don't mind just going Swamp Forest at the start. I think it's actually the Inquisition that we care about the most here because the library in play is just so good. Yeah, we're Wasteland and Marsh Flats. Endurance is a good blocker. It can potentially get back some stuff that we might like. Definitely see the value of it. Wonder if they go for the Surveil land. Because potentially next turn we could Fatal Push the Voice, play the Reclaimer, and also crop for a Wasteland. Which would be quite strong. Especially if they put a spell into the yard here, and they do, because they are obviously looking. Don't play the Voice. Okay. I think if I find Wasteland here... Put on top. I will pay for this in case they draw into an Opulent Pride. And then we just want to go... Fast push. Play Reclaim. Peatland. Second. Wasteland. You know one voice is gone. Play Wasteland. Play a flute. Okay. Did we bring in Force? No, we should have brought in one Force, I think. So I wonder now if they just go after Wasteland instead of Reclaimer. No. Interesting. Okay. Put on top. Put on top. I still like get back lands here. Oh, actually, I'll attack first because I believe I turn off Reclaimer if I do. One. Nice. Very cool. Wasteland locks can definitely be tough. But yeah, I do think maps, and that is true. I do think that endurance is probably worth at least 1 or 2 points in that matchup, especially just being a like reach creature where potentially you could snag a targeted creature from Guide of Souls. I don't believe they use their yard, but I think people underestimate how good it is at just returning things that you want back. Like if you have a removal heavy start and then you draw into an endurance, sometimes you just want to put those cards back into the deck. Pretty happy to keep this in the blind. Mid-range, good combo, good card advantage, good removal, good interaction, mana. Interesting. Actually, I don't think I've played against an actual factual Undercity Sewers in a long time. I've probably played against maybe 3 since the banning. Okay. Good card on top. I'm pretty happy to check out the hand with a Bayou. Bayou turns on Thoughtseize and then Library next turn. Okay. I think he would have pretty happy to take the 1 threat in Barrowgoyf. Don't have a great answer to it right now. I'm just direct stage and Barrowgoyf. Okay. I almost want to Thoughtseize first to take the Force of Will. Just so they can't. Potentially can't hit our library next turn, and I want the mana for it. Ooh. Right deck. No. We will still play this because something like an Urborg or a Yavimaya off the top is quite strong. Okay. I feel like this could be a Murktide deck as well, which is a little bit scary. Interesting. So they are brainstorm locked. They drew the fetch land, but they brainstormed last time. They played the Wasteland potentially. Yeah, okay, they played the Wasteland because of the depths. Okay. Swamp doesn't do a whole lot, so I think we just have to try to go for the library and then over time try to deal with the I mean, if they want to counterspell this or force this, that's also okay. Yeah. Yeah, interesting 2 days there because obviously there's other things you could daze, and I feel like library is already turned off quite well by Bowmasters, and then also Wasteland on and Bayou turning off a lot of removal for Bowmasters. not a whole lot we can do here. Gonna take some strong draw steps. Oh, okay. I like the veil. I like the carpet. That's really it. There's not too many things I don't like. I could see a depths coming out. Potentially one hex. Maybe the fatal push for Barrowgoyf. Maybe one less in. We could try something like that. I don't want to change up too much. Yeah, so the player in paper doesn't have access to Mox Diamonds. And so they wanted to find a list that was green-black without having to purchase Mox Diamonds. But Mox Diamond would be a fantastic addition to the deck. Oh. I think we're going to 5, unfortunately. 10, I just don't think against this sort of deck that, you know, the 1 mana hand is really going to get there. I think sadly we have to move on. But it's not gonna, there's not gonna be a competitive game there, unfortunately. Very tough. As I think post board, there's definitely a bit of game to be had there. Well, hopefully we can finish this 3-2. 3-2 with the Brewers is very cool. I very much always strive for a 3-2. I think anything less than a 3-2 is on the play, which is nice, and, you know, pretty happy to keep this. Thoughtseize for 3 isn't great, but we do have a few things to, which is not. Show and tell. Okay. Oof. So, in this matchup, I would say we want to obviously be the aggressor. I think it's just take 2 show and tells. Thankfully, our combo can play around the fatal push. They shuffled. Okay. Interesting. Let's play this, play around days, just in case. The Flooded Strand sadly can't get anything. There's also the thought of Bowmasters now. It is a little bit better on mana, and it gets a clock into play. And I think just because they shuffled, I want to be able to see if they potentially rely on that other ponder. Show and tell, show and tell. Okay, yeah. So we take the ponder and then hope. Stock up, show and tell, show and... I think that's it. Okay. Okay. And then we might even just want to play the... No, we don't want to play Hexmage now because of the this Fatal Push. We don't really... I think we're just going to hold up Bowmasters here. I wonder if they have a swamp in the deck. Yeah, I think now it's just play the Reclaimer out and then have access to crop. Keep on top, so let's go drop away the Echoing Deeps. Hit a Wasteland. Oof. Really tough. Tried. It's a lot of stock upping. I assume just trying to find the Emrakul. That is quite crazy. 4 stock ups and a ponder and still no Emrakul. There it is. Okay. This match will most likely be all about trying to be quicker. I like These, I don't mind the traps. I think we can take out the endurances. Fatal push. Be like agent does something. Hmm. If it's the black version, it could be like a Barrowgoyf version. Maybe the sheriff, just in case. Cameo, yeah, very true. Yeah, maybe it's really tricky when the combat decks also play creatures. Doomsday, another one. Played against the Doomsday deck that was like, come on, Tamio, turn 3, do like Barrowgoyf with some cantrips in there. And then game 2, they were the Doomsday deck, and I had no idea. I feel like game 1 might have got to like turn 6 or 7, but I just did not know that they were on Doomsday. They had like a really good mid-range plan. Thoughtseize start is pretty good. Especially because it turns on potentially. It turns on. I'm sorry, I lost my train. Good. Either. I can take them off blue mana here, but Okay. What's happening here? Which attracts her. Interesting. Hey, Bass, welcome. I think we just have to get Karakas here. We can't get like Talon gates just yet. I think you just have to keep the Reclaimer up as well. I think we just want to see what's on top. Sure. Sadly, I don't think we have the luxury of tapping out either. We're just in a really awkward spot. Not much we can do. We could try to in response to draw Fatal Push. Carpet's interesting. I want to keep the carpet for the Force as a just in case. It is their second ponder, so potentially if they play like a Barrowgoyf off this, I do get to hit it with a Mindbreak Trap, which is kind of cool. Okay. I want to go after them. I don't think I want to try to get the Tammy off the board, or at least keep it off the ulti. You have 7 cards, so not too much we can do. I should have also definitely played the carpet, I think. We play the Barrowgoyf, but also hold up mana. We might now just be in a position... where we play it next turn. I still want to keep a green card for the Force, but hold up crop. Interesting, they take the pressure. Maybe they just don't care about the red. Should have also just got rid of the swamp instead. I could consign here, but that's fine because now I get to wrap the Fatal Push, right? And this. Did we get the Witherblooms? I think we did. Four cards. Exile any number of target spells. Why not go after the consign as well if it's free? What am I not seeing? Why only target the Fatal Push? Because I don't want the... Yeah, that's very true, because I don't want the Bowmaster to leave play. That's fair. Yes. I did think about that for a second, but of course I did it incorrectly. That is a great point. That's why in some, like, say, Dark Depths, in, like, green-white strategies, you'll still see Sejiri Step and Talon Gates. There's definitely benefits of both, and in this situation, I would have loved to have had a Sejiri Step instead. Hey, Mangork, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Still not out of it. I mean, 3 mana could be Show and Tell into 2 more things. It could be Barrowgoyf of their own Barrowgoyf. They shuffled. Maps and stream quality has never been there, sadly. Hopefully not. I've had a few lag issues. Wow. Very interesting. Okay. How do I want to change things? Too kind, Maps, and I appreciate you. How do I want to change things? So obviously post-board, I like the Surgical, especially alongside the Thoughtseizes. I don't mind the Carpet as a way to kind of get ahead while holding up some mana. Maybe another Fatal Push. I like that Push is very mana efficient, both against Tamiyo being 1-for-1, but also against, say, an opposing Barrowgoyf. Witherbloom Command is kind of interesting because it does allow me to destroy the Tamiyo once flipped. So does Hexmage to some extent. Shoot the Sheriff. Maybe that should just be a Fatal Push. I think that's fair. I think that's really only it. I mean, like, Atrax is the only card we can really deal with otherwise for Shoot the Sheriff, but we do have Karakas for that anyway. Yeah, that's fair. Maybe the Carpet is a little bit overkill. Yeah, okay, let's go for the Hexmage. Okay. And very true, they don't have too many islands. I think really need to start on a Thoughtseize. And this does into turn 2 Library, into turn 3 Barrowgoyf. I'm okay with that. This hand really wants my opponent to start on Ponder turn 1. And probably not their own thought. Okay. Well, the jig is up. We are going to lead on the Urborg, most likely, because it does just turn on Hexmage off the top. Interesting. Potentially then, we want to go Catacombs, hold up prop, but also under City, under Mortuary. Something Mortuary. I also don't mind that. That buys some time against the Barrowgoyf. You can also just play that right now. Pretty good. So here we have some options. I think we're definitely playing Dark Depths. And then it's between hold up just crop rotation for stage or play the Barrowgoyf. I don't mind Barrowgoyf of our own to try to fight against this one. They even have a force for this, which is so far behind. I think we need to play it a little bit safe. Feel like we take this, allow them to have a creature. Yawimaya is pretty good. I wasn't going to attack with the Bowmaster because I was going to block, but then I was like, I don't really want to block, so I feel like the Bowmaster needs to be dealing damage by itself if we do want to be able to like get this game through the life gain of the Barrowgoyf. Interesting. Play this first. Have the force. A Bowmaster. Trigger. Target them. Okay. They want a clue, they should do it now, just so that we don't get another. Yeah. Hexmage off the top would be pretty spice. Play this. Pause. We are probably putting one Bowmaster in front of this Goyf if we get a chance. Yeah. Again, we're just going to see if we can potentially get our way through this. Down to 1 card plus those. Was but knowing the top as well, I don't think we have a great out, unfortunately. Really tough. Tough. Deck was cool though. I did feel at times I wasn't too sure on like the depths plan or just knowing how to finish games. That was probably the tough one, but it's always fun playing this sort of style of deck. I definitely enjoy like the rock style variants. It was pretty nice at times to have the crop rotation package. Having the Talon gates was cool. Obviously having the Dark Depths combo was quite good. We played against a few matchups where Wasteland was obviously part of the strategy, so we couldn't really go all in on the Dark Depths combo in those sections, but at the same time then having access to like a plan B in Barrowgoyf is pretty sweet. 3 mana's a fair amount without mana acceleration. That's probably the one thing that would have been kind of cool, even just access to sort of mana acceleration, but obviously for mana constraints, that's fine. I think as well, just potentially looking at the removal suite as well. Murktide was a card we didn't come up against, but obviously these cards don't deal with Murktide. It really has to be Bojuka Bog, Endurance away their graveyard, try to keep it away, and then in the board, like you might be able to snag one with a Dismember, but most likely Shoot the Sheriff is your only answer to Murktide. So potentially that's a local metagame choice that they have, seeing that this is their paper list. Yeah, potentially some change up in the removal suite. I'm not too sure what to deal with Merc, which is a tricky card when you don't have access to Swords to Plowshares or Pyroblast. There's a few like, is it Run Afoul? Target player sacks a flying creature, which is a little bit situational. There's Ultimate Price. Ultimate Price could be pretty good. I wonder if Ultimate Price is better than Shoot the Sheriff. Again, Pick Your Poison is quite cool. Pick Your Poison does give you access to a bit of flexibility in that slot as well, which is cool. There were a few times the mana was a bit tough, but you're always going to get that with a deck with Reclaimer and Crop, obviously. But I felt like the access to double Forest, double Swamp was really good. I did like having access to the second Dark Depths. There was a moment where we drew both, but obviously if we drew Legolas's Quick Reflexes in its other slot, that would be, it wouldn't actually help out in terms of mana. Sheoldred's Edict is actually quite a good one, because you might have ways to deal with some of the smaller creatures. I think Sheoldred's Edict is actually quite good. Even in the matchup we just had, having access to something that deals with Barrowgoyf, but also Emrakul or Atraxa is also yeah, pretty appealing. But obviously just 5 matches, so not too much to take away from this. But cool to see how the deck kind of just performed. I am busting. So I'm going to go to bed. I appreciate you all. A big thank you to Francis for sending through the donation deck list. I'll have a article out shortly on the Green Sun Zenith running through kind of the process we went through on the deck, like things we spoke about beforehand, some thoughts after, and just pick out some moments in the league where there were some pretty interesting decisions that came up that I thought was I'm going to quickly see who else is streaming and send you over there. A huge thank you to new followers as well, as I try to hit that 4K mark by the end of the year, which probably does mean I might need a little bit more of a streaming schedule between now and Christmas, or Christmas and New Year. Can't see anyone else on, unfortunately. I'm just going to end the stream. But have a great week, have a great night, and I will speak to you soon.